Right, here we are, 1948 MGTC. I took this out of the garage about 9 months ago and to give it a wash, and then when I was ready to put it back in the garage, there was a big puddle on the floor, and it obviously wasn't water, it was brake fluid. So the master cylinder had gone. So it took me a while to find one, and I actually found one which I could use most of the bits off the original one rather than buying a full one, because the full one were about $1,000 or something like that. But the part I got was the cylinder part itself and the fluid canister on top, and then I used all the internal bits out of mine with new rubbers on. And that only cost something like $240, which bargain, and I love a bargain. So anyway, what I've done is I've fitted the cylinder, and I haven't bled the brakes yet because I've too many other jobs on, so I'm grabbing a quick couple of hours now. I've bought myself one of these self-bleeding kits, and it works off the compressor, so it works like a suction through. So I'm going to put some fluid in, and then I'm going to go around the car, obviously from furthest away from the master cylinder, and then work my way around to the front, to the closest, and then I'll check the brakes and see how we go. Right, so this is the master cylinder. It was this piece with that, and then this is off my original cylinder, and this is off the original cylinder, and all the internal workings, all the original cylinder. So I will now put some brake fluid in, check for leaks, and then I'll go through the bleeding. Right, so I've got a torch in. The cap's off, so let me just have a quick look, see if I can get this fluid in. There, that's on the full level. Now we'll get the compressor going and connect that up to the rear bleed nipple. Right, so this fits on the end of the bleed nipple. So I'll fit this on, crack the nipple, and then pull the trigger on the gun or bleed kit and see what happens. We should see fluid coming through this tube. Might need to open it a little bit more. So here we go, fluid coming through. Still a lot of air in it. Maybe a little bit more. try a little bit more. The issue I'm going to have here is if I open it up too far, it's just going to draw air through where the bleed nipple is. So let's just see what happens here. Well, that seemed to pull some through. I'll just close that up. You can see how much is in the container. I'm just going to check how much has been taken from the cylinder. Unfortunately, I can't really show you anything at the back, but maybe you can see better at the front here. And just see what happens now. Let's hang that up there. Right, so that's connected on there. If I open that up and pull the trigger, now I can see the fluid coming through. Let's see if that'll help. Crack it first, and I'll put that at the back, then I can bring it right round. It doesn't seem to be working. It seems to be just drawing air through from the threads of the bleed nipple rather than bringing the fluid through from the cylinder. So there's lots of bubbles in, so it's not like when you bleed an ordinary brake. There's nothing coming through there. Oh, slowly now. But it's just bubbles. Right, just check a paddle. No, where am I? There we go. I have another leak. So it's going to turn out to be a bigger job as normal. So I'll leave it at that. But at the moment, I can't see how these work. I'll get rid of this and I'll stick to the old-fashioned method of bleeding, which is a jar and a tube. Right, I tried the self-bleed kit. Don't rate it too much. It doesn't seem to do what it says on the tin. You are supposed to just put the rubber part over the nipple, and then when you pull the trigger it sucks the fluid through, but it seems to be just drawing fluid at the same time as drawing air through the threads of the bleed nipple. So you try to close it up a little bit so it doesn't draw the air through, and then that stops the fluid coming through. So it's a pretty bad idea, really. I used to have one in the 70s, which was one that attached to the top of the master cylinder reservoir, and then there'd be a long bottle, and then a tube that came off the top and attached to your tyre, and it used one of the tyre valves what you put on lockdown, and that used to pressurise the tub, which pressurised the fluid reservoir, and then that pushed the fluid out, and that worked fantastic. But this way, with it sucking the fluid through, it just doesn't seem to be doing it. I'll give it another go, but obviously you've seen now that I've got another leak, which is par for course on these cars. I have another leak on the slave cylinder now on the front driver's side wheel, so I've got to sort that out. But as I said at the start of the video, I'm that busy. I've just grabbed myself a couple of hours to try and do this and see if I could sort the brakes out. I'm going to have to grab a few parts and then start again on another video later. Thanks for watching.